Fantastic, Juliana. Thank you. And up next, we have Teresa. Teresa, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself, please, that would just be great. Hi, Teresa.
Hi there. I wanted to get your opinion on prolonged fasting. So like 3-5 days or longer.
Yes. Well, I'd rather you eat food, and I'd rather you do it with real food. So I'm not a proponent of, first of all, I don't like the products because they're just products. They're not foods. And I don't like to give people meal plans because I want people to learn how to eat in the real world and learn how to like eat the meal frequency and what they're eating, the content of the diet. So I kind of practice that concept with whole foods. So I eat 1 or 2 times a day. I limit my food to a restricted window of 4 to 6 hours max. And I eat whole plant foods in that window. And that's the same way to do this whole thing without the marketing. So I think it's a great marketing thing. And I think they're trying to patent the concept of intermittent fasting, which I don't think is necessary. I'd rather people just learn how to eat and eat whole foods and learn how to make recipes and meal plans and to time it so that they optimize what works best for them.
Thank you, Juliana. And up next, we have Lisa. Lisa, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute, please. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi, great talk today. Just wanted you to go over a little bit about the starvation mode. You said it leads to fat loss, but could you just explain it a little further and talk about if it leads to muscle loss or bone loss, anything like that? Thanks.
Great question. Thank you. Yes, so when you lose weight and when you gain weight, everything's included, right? When you're packing on weight, as if you're growing up or if you're gaining weight from whatever, you are building not just fat, and vice versa when you're losing. So it's not like you just turn on the spout and the oil comes out, right? Everything has to go around the same way. And there's, we lose everything. There's a little bit of everything that goes down and a little bit of everything that goes up. What I was showing you is that it's proportional and the body can manages itself and we don't need to micromanage it. So for my clients that come to me to lose weight, they need to create a deficit. There's no way around it. You can't lose weight like I was talking about those dietitian support groups where they're saying, oh, you're not getting enough protein. They're not losing weight, then they're not eating enough, which doesn't even make sense if you think about it from a physics standpoint. So in order to lose weight, you need to reduce your intake. And the only way to reduce your intake is to eat less. Interestingly, and what I've now been shown time and time again, is that exercise does not help. It actually interferes with the weight loss process. So you can lose what I like to do with my clients is to set a period of time to lose. And so we set this period of time based on, I use very objective. If you are trying to lose 20 pounds based on trying to get to your Hamweight goal, whatever that number is, and 20 pounds usually takes about 40 days, we'll give it maybe 50 days because there's water fluctuations and stuff like that. I suggest having my clients go through a specific period of time where they're going to be in a deficit. They take a multivitamin, they eat fewer meals, they eat fewer times per day, and they watch the scale go down to what I said, about 1/2 pound a day. Then we bring back exercise with purpose, and then you build back your muscle. And it's like, so you're losing a little bit of everything as you go down. So I hope that makes sense, but there's a lot of research on this. And yeah, you lose muscle, but you also lose fat and you also lose glycogen. Everything kind of goes down at the same time, just the same as it would go up. So I hope that answers, but everything, metabolism scales with weight.
Thank you, Juliana. Up next, we have Denise. Denise, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute if you would do so, please. Hi.
Thank you again. It's like a dream come true to be able to ask so many questions. So I'm just so appreciative. I'm actually asking for a friend. And interestingly enough, I just gave her like 4 days ago your contact info, Julianna. I don't know if she will consult with you or not. I wish she would. So this is what I wish you could speak to. She's in her 70s, is obese, told me she was actually overweight, obese at 4 years of age, basically dealt with that through most of her life. There was one time when she lost a bunch of weight. She feels she's tried everything. nothing will work. She believes right now she only eats about maybe 1,400 calories a day, and she's watching it, and she doesn't lose weight. She doesn't think she can. And so I encouraged her to check you out. But what would you say, to somebody like that, who has that life experience, feels so hopeless, feels I've tried everything, I've done it all. Why, how could we help her?
Well, thank you, Denise, for everything you said and for being a good friend to your friend. I would say that, first of all, she's not broken. It's always the food, always. I've yet to see someone not be able to ameliorate that. And I have clients come to me and say, oh, there's no way. They say the same thing to me. And then like today, my client today, he's just got to his goal weight today. And someone yesterday just lost 127 pounds that she never thought she could lose. And they say to me, I never believed this could happen to me. But it's always the food. And I would also say that, again, back to what I said before, you could lead a human to healthy, but you can't make them eat. And no matter what you say, they have to want to do it. And it's not calories, it's not protein, it's not anything. It's the food. And it's a horrible thing to feel helpless like that. And so I just want her to know that she's not helpless. She still can lose weight. And I've seen this I've worked with people across the lifespan, across the situations, unless there's something metabolically wrong. And there are those circumstances, but it's usually the vast minority of time. Then you go and check your thyroid and all that, and you can take medication and then it should improve. But if that's not the case, it's the food. It's always the food. So I would encourage her to, my new book that comes out in December is specifically about weight loss. It's called Choose You Now Diet, but that's not till December. But she's not broken. So I hope she reaches out to you, and I am glad that she has such a good friend to support her.
Thank you, Julieanna. It looks like we have time for just one more question. And remarkably, we have just one more question. So that works out. And that is with Ella. Ella, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to ask my question. Actually, it's a double question. So one, I'm really curious your take on honey in terms of nutrition, value, and also plant-based world, right? And then second is I have a friend who is doing a great job being plant-based, and she can just not lose the weight. She's doing great with calorie density. She's eating, her beans and her salads all the time. So she's definitely in calorie deficit. She's in her 60s too. So she's just having a hard time, pushing the needle a little bit more forward. What suggestions do you have for that? Thank you.
I'm going to go in opposite order there, because the second question is directly linked to the last response. It's the food. It doesn't matter what you're eating. I have people coming to me that have been whole food plant-based and cannot lose the weight no matter what they do. I was in that same category. And for me, it was taking a break from exercise and eating less frequently that solved the problem. It's always the food. Always, 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 always. You can't keep a weight when you're eating in a deficit. It's impossible. And that's what I do with my clients, is that you create a deficit. There's no way around it. It's not fun. It's actually pretty miserable. You have to say no to a lot of things that you want to eat, even that delicious salad. Like, to me, I'm tempted by salads. You still have to create a deficit. It doesn't matter what you're eating. You can't lose unless you're in a deficit. So, but she's not broken too. And it's not the plant-based diet, because I use a plant-based diet with all my clients because it's the healthiest way to lose weight. You can lose weight all sorts of ways. As I showed you in the food triangle, you could do it on a keto diet. You could do it with, smoking cigarettes, just to be extreme. Like, you can lose weight a lot of ways. The healthiest way to do it is with the plant-based diet. To your honey question, honey is not vegan. So for the people that are vegan for ethical reasons, then I would say to avoid the honey if they choose to do so. But from a nutrition standpoint, it's fine as a sweetener. Now, I go with that whole recommendation of keeping your added sweeteners to under 5% of total calories. Again, I'm not a counter or calculator, but you want to limit your added sweeteners anyway, because then it's taking up room from your health promoting foods. But using honey, like I use maple syrup or date paste or date syrup as a sweetener, my added sweetener in my recipes to balance out a recipe for sweet, salty, sour, bitter, umami, all those different profiles. I use maple syrup, date paste or date syrup. But if you want, honey would fit into that category, but you would want to limit it to no more than 5, no more than 10%. Like I think the World Health Organization wants it to be 5%, but they say 10% because most people can't even get lower than 20%. So just keeping it very as an ingredient and not as something you would use, not as an ingredient, not as a food group. So that's what I recommend too, is just sticking to trying to get to less than 5% of total calories as an added sweetener. That's the category I would put it in.